Hi, this is Marlon, and I'm here to introduce you to the Heath Q24 board. This is a new board that was purchased for the church and the school, so this video will basically get you into using it as fast as you can. So let's get started. This is a digital mixing board, and what that allows us to do, it allows us to have a smaller footprint. This is a 30-channel board, cleverly positioned with 24 faders, but basically we have a 30-channel board compared to the 32-channel board that we used to have. This takes up a lot less space. The beautiful thing about this board is that it also has a built-in gate, it has a compressor, and it has 4 individual effects units. So basically we are replacing what would possibly take a 16-space rack unit, and we're condensing it into one thing. So smaller is one of the things that is the benefit of this board. The other benefit is that things can be automated, we can have scenes, we can recall things. But don't let this board overwhelm you. It is accessible. So the only thing you have to remember, as an old analog board, we have channels, and each channel used to have its gain, some EQ, and some auxiliary sends. Instead of having each channel have its own individual row, this board has cleverly created that section, one section, and instead of duplicating it every time, if we want to access a channel strip, if you will, we have to make sure that we use the select button. So I want you to get used to looking at these buttons here, because in the future you might be making changes and you're saying, hey, I don't hear the changes I'm making. You must be sure that you have selected the channel. And the wonderful thing about the Q24 is that if you look in this window, it's going to give you some real-time and accurate display of what channel is being selected. So if you look right here, oops, let's cancel that. This is a touch screen. It shows us that channel 1 is selected. Notice if I go over here and I press channel 2 select, that number there is dynamically changing. So very important. Again, you will have 2 places to know what is selected. First will be the green button right here, and the second one would be right in your window as well to let you know. So let's go to channel 1. I want to introduce you to 2 ways to adjust your channel. So the first way is to use the touch screen, and there are 4 sections in this touch screen. There is your channel selection that shows your basic gain, and your phantom power, and to move it to a mic or a line to give it a pad. The second one, if you click it, is called the gate. Has a built-in gate. Each channel does. We have a parametric EQ, each channel, and a compressor. Now, some of you may enjoy making adjustments using the window. For me, I liked hands-on, and that's why we chose this board, because it allows us to really get hands-on and not get too focused in on the screen, because sometimes we'll need to be looking up at the stage, and some of that can get lost. So let me introduce you to the knob section, because the knob section basically duplicates what's here in a knob section. So again, we're going to make sure that we have selected channel 1, okay? And now we're going to go to this section up here, and if we want to change the gain on it, there's a little button that says preamp, and I am simply changing it, okay? And you'll notice over here I'm adding 60 dB and I'm cutting down to 5 dB, okay? The second section is your high-pass filter, and that high-pass filter will show you if it's engaged or not, and if you simply turn it on. High-pass filter, if you look in our parametric EQ, it's showing us that we're cutting low frequencies. And if we go to the parametric EQ, you can see what it's cutting off here. So that's a great feature to have, especially if you have a mic that's too boomy, or maybe vocalists. Most vocalists don't reproduce 80 hertz or lower. So using a high-pass filter can help us tame some issues there. So let's go back to our knob section. There we have a 4-band EQ. It's wonderful, but remember the band EQ, I can make all these changes here, but you will not hear them unless you turn it on. So here we go. We have the low frequencies, low mid, high mid, and the high frequencies. And it's wonderful because here you can get an exact representation of what's happening. So let's look at the bottom here. is your gain, which means you can boost and you can cut. The second knob is your frequency, which tells us what frequencies you want to boost or cut. For example, I want to cut some low frequencies, and I can move it all around. Look, you can just shove it to the left, to the right. Very helpful. Let's put it back to 0. And then the next thing is width. So let's do some boosting around the 76 hertz. Width is your Q, basically your octave, and it gives you a wide range of effect on that bandwidth, or you can make it really narrow if you need to notch out some very specific frequencies. So again, that's your EQ. All accessible, again, through 4 knobs. You don't have to touch the screen. Let's go to the next one is your gate. Again, your gate, I'm going to just press this so you can see it. Gate is off or on, and gate is helpful if you have a really loud a performance. Maybe you have a drummer, and maybe you need to have your mic sensitive, but not so sensitive that it's always picking up the extra sound. A gate is very helpful, and basically it tells the microphone, hey, don't turn on your sensitivity until a certain threshold is reached, and we can talk about that later. Compressor, oh, I'm so happy that this mixer has a compressor on every channel. We press the compressor. There's various things on there, and we'll go over that. So there you go. We have our gain, which we'd know as our trim, a low filter cut, high-pass filter, 4-band EQ. We have a gate, we have a compressor, and let's not forget our wonderful pan. If I click over here, you can see this little button right here. It actually gives you a visual view of what's happening. So that is basically an overview of each channel strip. But let me show you how you can access that without using the knobs. Maybe you're a type of person that doesn't want to use knobs and you really like a touch screen. So let's show you how you can do the same thing. So if we go over here, again, we have channel 1 selected, and it's showing us there. And if we want to change the gain, we simply click on the gain button, and we can now make that adjustment right here. So in this section here, this knob becomes the adjustment for everything that we'll touch. For example, we want to change the pad, turn it off and on. To do phantom power, we have to press and hold to turn off. Get off. There it goes. Okay, so that's our gain. Let's go into our gate. Again, if we want to make adjustments, we simply touch these little windows, and then we use this one knob to make the adjustments. Let's go to our EQ. For example, we want to turn on our low-pass filter. We can change that frequency by clicking it, and you'll see the dynamic adjustments being made there. Let's go to our lower one. Let's do some cutting. Let's change the frequency to a little bit higher, and let's change that Q to a little bit wider. And again, you can look at some of these. Let's go to our upper range. Let's do some boosting at about 10 kilohertz or so. And let's make it real nice and tight because we want to pop that. So again, that EQ, it's in. And you'll notice on our graphic display here, if it's grayed out, that means EQ is not engaged. It's in, it's out. And I love about this mixer, again, that it's going to give you a visual representation of what's being engaged by these buttons. So if you want to use a combination of both, now let's go to the compressor. Again, you can set your threshold, your ratio, if you want to do some super limiting, your gain, attack, release. It has 4 functions here. I kind of like auto, slow, opto, and a hard knee sometimes. But again, we have to turn it on. And there it goes. Let's go to our threshold. That's the thing we use. Now, on this button, only the threshold is that one knob. So that is our basic setup of our board, a basic explanation of our channel strips. And in the next video, we'll go over some more advanced features.